Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Cleantech Pitches. So this afternoon, we're hearing from 5 high potential cleantech organisations who are going to pitch their business to a panel of judges. Today, we've got panelists from the judges, Roger Harley from Faulkner Capital, May Lee from Artesian, Charlie McDonald from Impact Investment Group, got Patrick Mooney from Impact Tech Ventures, Phil Bailey from Climate Capital, and Joe Yunnan from the Victorian Clean Technology Fund. Essentially, how this afternoon will work is each business will get 3 minutes to run through a lightning pitch. They'll also then get a few minutes of questions from the judges, but we also really encourage the audience to pop some questions in the chat as well. And once all the pitches are finished, you'll get an opportunity to ask the businesses for some questions. Basically, I'll be coordinating today. My name is Anna. I'm a board member of the Victorian Cleantech Cluster, and I've been helping to organise the event today. I'm coming to you from Boonwurrung country, so I would like to pay my genuine and heartfelt respects to the traditional custodians of this land and any other Aboriginal land that we're joining from today all over the nation and maybe overseas as well. So first up, I'll run through who we're hearing from today. So we'll hear from Sun Power Renewables, Rahul Kale, Biogene, which is Richard Jagger, Capricorn Power, Mike Hodgkinson, Savick Motorcycles from Dennis Savick, Fully Wall, which is Clinton Hopkins. And all these businesses have booths in the virtual expo. So once you've heard them speak, you're welcome to pop over to the booth, make connection with them, set up a meeting, have a chat, and really take advantage of the fact that they're there to talk to you. So when we're ready, we'll get into our first pitch, which will be Rahul Kale. So Rahul, you can come on board when you're ready. Great, welcome Rahul. So what then is I'm going to be sharing Rahul's slides for him. I will basically run through with a little finger from you, Rahul, to let me know when you're ready to move to the next slide. And just bear with me while I get that full screen mode going on. And you are ready to go when you're ready. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And good afternoon, everyone on the panel. Thank you for your time today. By way of introduction, I'm Rahul Kale. I'm the founder and CEO of Sun Power Renewables. We're based out of Melbourne, Victoria, set up in 2016. And we develop and manufacture portable lithium solar generators out of Melbourne currently. We've got a big R&D center set up where we develop our products. We've started exporting them globally in 2018. And we've had remarkable success so far in our both domestically in Australia as well as overseas. If you could go to the next slide, please. So our range of portable lithium solar generators, we have a range from very small handheld solutions, ranging from, say, as small as a 130 watt-hour battery to a larger solution for commercial and industrial purpose. What we've managed to achieve is integrating all the different components of a solar power plant into a single compact device, including, it's all-in-one device which has the MPPT charger, the inverter, a lithium-ion battery pack, everything into a single compact portable device. And we're one of the only companies in the world who's got a range of solutions from the small to the large ones. On the larger end of the spectrum, we have our closest competitor is Tesla with the Powerwall, but they're also stationary and you can't really move them around, whereas our machines are fully portable. In terms of our commercialization, we've been successful in commercializing across multiple customer segments, including the likes of defense, outdoor camping, medical equipment. We've powered quite a few small hospitals during this COVID pandemic time. Disaster management, off-grid markets, obviously huge for us. Agri-tech, maintenance equipment to charge electrical tools that are being used by maintenance crews in different industrial segments. EV charging, which I'll discuss a bit more in detail later. And then the larger units obviously will have are used in residential homes, educational facilities, factories, malls, offices, even petrol pumps. So we've got a very interesting case in India where we've used our machines to actually pump the pump nozzles are actually used on our machine as power backup. So it's not only customers are not only reporting savings on their electricity bills, but they're actually reporting an increase in sales because they can continue operations even during power blackouts. And then ports, mining, hotels. So these are some of the customer segments that we've targeted so far and have had success on them. The whole point of our solution is to provide energy independence to customers while allowing them to take their power anywhere, anytime, reduce on their electricity bills, and make it thoroughly accessible for the common man. That's where the whole idea started, and that's where the whole product range development started. And if you could go to the next slide, please. In terms of, we had a very interesting use case for electric vehicles. So we were selling to a port in Melbourne, and they've come up with a solution where electric cars were coming onto the port. They were obviously, the battery was discharged, so they couldn't get away for the electric vehicles to come off the ship onto the port. So now they're using our machines to wheel those machines up when the ship arrives, boost charge the cars with a 2 to 3 mile range, and then drive the car off. So what we are seeking today is we're trying to create a program. And the next slide, please. We're trying to create a program where our machines can be used for the last mile charging for EVs, replace the AAA kind of service for electric vehicles, reduce the range anxiety on those vehicles when there's a breakdown of batteries in remote areas where there's no charging infrastructure, and really bridge that missing link that exists in today's charging infrastructure plans that most governments have. Yeah. So I'll open it up for questions and address some other points during the questions.
Great, thanks Rahul. So do any judges have questions? We can take some questions at the end as well, and any questions from the audience. So Roger has just asked, do you have proprietary technology?
Yes, we do. All our design protections, everything are registered in Australia already. And in terms of a long-term differentiator, I think the idea is that there are a few copycats in terms of some small units coming into the smaller end of this range. But the whole idea is that we kind of create a range of products built on quality. All our products are certified Australian made. And we kind of use quality as the main differentiator to compete with all the knockoffs that are coming from China, are using cheaper batteries, low quality batteries, but selling them at a cheaper price.
Okay, we've got a couple of our judges coming on to ask some questions. So I'm letting Charlie and Joseph coming in. So Joe is joining from the Victorian Clean Technology Fund, and Charlie is from Impact Investment Group.
Afternoon, guys.
Hi, thanks, Rahul. Just my question was more about the roadside servicing and what sort of competition you've got for that sort of product.
So at the moment, there's only one company in the UK. I think it's in the UK or US, I'm not too sure, but a company called Spark. But they're doing battery replacement. So they're coming up with extra batteries, and they come and swap the batteries when there's an electrical or a battery breakdown. That's a very expensive infrastructure to build out if you just kind of stocking up on batteries. And some companies are looking at creating these battery banks where they can come and swap batteries. But again, that's a very expensive infrastructure. At the moment, in our the kind of model that we are talking about, where there's a portable unit to charge EVs, as well as not just EVs, but someone buying the machine can even use it as power backup for their homes, for their offices, everything else. As an all-inclusive product, there's not much competition at the moment.
Okay, thanks.
Rahul, thanks for your pitch. My question is, what do you see as the lowest hanging fruit for this business in terms of staging out? It seems like it's got a lot of different use cases. What is your initial focus going to be, and how do you see that setting the stage for winning this
So
market?
at the moment, our two lowest hanging fruit in terms of, so we've got two models, the B2B model and the B2C model. The B2B model was very successful before the pandemic. Even during the pandemic, we've got a lot of distributors now signed up, selling to businesses in large quantities and to kind of industrial users. The B2C model has picked up a lot during the pandemic. We're selling on Amazon, we're selling on other retail platforms for people for power backup and for outdoor users like working from home, camping, etc. So those are the two lowest hanging fruit in terms of our products. But on the EV charging side, I think the lowest hanging fruit is that missing link where you need portable EV chargers for last mile charging, which is not being supplied by today's infrastructure plan. If you look at any government today, they're all talking about larger infrastructure for setting up EV charging stations at every few kilometers, but no one's really talking about that last minute charging. So that's, I think, on the EVs charging space, I think we've seen that as the lowest hanging fruit.
Great, thanks.
And we do have one final question from Phil Bailey, just asking, what do you need from pitching today, Raul? What is Raul looking for?
So on the EV charging side, we're looking at two things. One is looking for partners for collaboration. I think that the way we roll out this model globally is going to be important. Just doing it in one market is not going to be as beneficial. So we're looking for partners to help us scale up very quickly in different markets. And obviously, that scaling up in different markets requires a bit of funding. We focus on our R&D and product development on our side, where we're coming up with larger 3-phase units for industrial and commercial users. So we're looking for partners who can help us kind of scale up on this side of the technology, scale up the distribution model for our EV charging, last mile charging infrastructure quickly. So we're looking for potential collaborators there.
Great. Thank you so much, Raul. Thanks for pitching. We'll welcome our next pitch on. And so we've got Richard Jagger from Biogene coming on now.
Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
Hello.
Hi, welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Anna.
So you'll have your 3 minutes. I'm controlling your slides for you. So just bear with me while I get that organised. Okay, so your 3 minutes will start now.
Thanks, Anna. Hello, my name is Richard Jagger and I'm the CEO of Biogene Technology, a Victorian company creating the next generation of novel insecticides. Next slide, thanks, Anna. So what's the issue we're addressing? Well, we all know that the general use of insecticides, but the effectiveness of current products is diminishing due to two major issues. Firstly, the development of ongoing resistance by insect populations, and secondly, the pressure to take certain products off the market due to inherent safety concerns. Insecticides are critical for humanity to assist with food security and public health. Global population is anticipated to grow to about 10 billion people by 2050, which means we will need to produce 50% more food than we do today. The ramifications of climate change impact food production per hectare and also increase the habitable environment for mosquitoes that spread disease. Currently, between 20 and 40% of food produced globally is lost to pests, valued at a staggering $2,000 billion per year. Direct costs due to the 229 million new malaria infections every year is valued at US $12 billion, with economic impact many times that. Mosquitoes are also responsible for over 700,000 deaths per year. These significant global problems are only getting worse as the insecticide we use are becoming less effective due to resistance, and at the same time regulators are delisting products. For example, the largest class of chemistry we use today, neonicotinoids, have been banned for outdoor use in the EU due to their impact on bees. Next slide, thanks, Anna. Biogene is developing proprietary chemistry that represents a step change for resistant pest control. Our molecules are naturally derived, effective on resistant populations of pests, and have an excellent safety profile. I mentioned neonicotinoids and their recent banning. Well, our products are 5,000 times less toxic on bees than this class of chemistry. So why are our products so effective? Because they operate via a brand new mode of action. That means they work differently to control pests than any other insecticide, past or present. The last new mode of action to come to market was way back in 2008, so they're quite rare. Our model is to work with commercial partners to enable this technology to come to market, and we currently have development agreements with BASF and Clark Mosquito Control. A number of other companies are also evaluating our technology. Thanks. Next slide, Anna. So what happens next? Well, we need to register our products for use with regulatory bodies around the world, which requires the completion of a registration dossier involving a rigorous safety and toxicology program. We continue to engage with other commercial partners operating in additional markets, but what we need help with is connection to impact funds and government departments that can help us on our journey. Food security and public health are major agenda items for governments, NGOs, and the private sector around the world. Biogen is looking for connections to the right organisations and people who can help ensure we have the capital support pathways to progress our objectives and facilitate the registration of our products. Thanks for listening.
Wonderful. Thanks, Richard. Excellent. So we'll take some questions from the judges now. I'm letting Joe in to ask a question from the Victorian Clean Technology Fund.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Richard. Nice presentation and good to meet you. I just had a couple of quick questions. One was around the IP and what protections you've got in place. And the second was, where are you at in terms of testing? Do any of the claims in terms of the efficacy of this technology? How has that been tested and what's the status?
Sure. So patents, first of all, we have a couple of patents that are getting quite mature, but they cover the use of this technology as insecticides. What we have been able to do is apply for some additional patents, which are being reviewed at the moment, which will obviously extend the life and of our technology through those applications. So we're pretty comfortable about the IP position. The next question was about efficacy. We've been doing a number of tests with specific institutions around the world who specialise in certain pests, and particular rearing of resistant populations of those pests, because that's what's important for us to test on. And we've been able to demonstrate that pests that are resistant to other chemistry classes that are being used today, we're able to control those. And that kind of research has also been backed up by some specific research to identify the mode of action, specifically how the technology works within the insect that we're targeting. So we've got some pretty good data, and we're very confident about our efficacy on specific commercial target pests.
Okay, thanks.
Pleasure.
Great, thanks for that, Joe and Richard. I've got a question from Roger Harley from Faulkner Capital here. How far are you off registration of your products?
Registration is probably 2 to 3 years away, Roger. We've got the beginnings of our regulatory package. As I mentioned, we're working with some commercial partners, and through that, identifying the specific geographic and market applications that they're looking at. So that's having a big part to play on where we go with our first registrations. But we've also got some registration advisors that are helping us work through the program of putting that dossier together. So we know exactly kind of what we need to complete that program.
Great. So I'm letting Patrick Mooney from Impact Tech Ventures on now to ask a question.
Thanks. Sorry, had a little hiccup on coming in. Yeah, very, very interesting presentation, Richard, and
thanks, Patrick.
Real pain point you're addressing. My question was really around what you consider to be the main entry barriers for you. Are they regulatory? Are they the nature of established distribution channels and agri product businesses? What do you see as your main barriers there?
The main one I see is the registration and just the time and process and the resources that takes. Every product has to go through the same process, so we're not unique in that sense. I mentioned our model too is to work with commercial partners, so we need strong alliance there with different people in different market segments that we're focusing on. We've been fortunate that we've got a couple of those development programs underway at the moment, one with BASF, the largest chemical company in the world. And we've also got a number of other companies that are testing our product as we speak that will work in different markets, complementary, I guess, to BASF and Clark Mosquito Control. So not as much of a barrier because we've got some good traction there, But certainly, you know, besides registration, it is having the right partner to get to market.
Mm-hmm. And the channels would be through your traditional supply of agri products into the market?
Yeah, typically, if you think of the big companies like BASF, Bayer, Syngenta, for examples, they ultimately will sell their products through traditional ag or public health companies. You know, in Australia, we've got Nutrien, we've got Elders, Delta Ag, a few of those kind of organisations that are the people that put the product on the ground.
Nice traction. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Great, thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Richard. We'll just line up for our next pitch. We've got Mike coming on. So thanks, Richard. Stay online and we'll get some questions at the end, hopefully. But we'll bring Mike Hodgkinson from Capricorn Power on now to do his 3-minute pitch. How are you going, Mike?
Great, thanks, Anna.
Excellent. So I'll share your slides on your behalf. Just let me know when you'd like me to flick through them. I'll give you a 30-second warning when your time's coming up. Okay, so when you're ready, your 3 minutes start now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Hodgkinson, the CEO of Capricorn Power. The world spends trillions of dollars producing heat, yet over 72% of this is wasted. I'd like you to think about that. Over 70% of trillions of dollars spent each year is wasted. Now, if you can imagine a simple containerized solution taking this globally abundant waste heat and turning it into reliable, low-cost electricity, then you're imagining Capricorn Power. Next slide, please. Our core innovation is the Barton heat engine, which converts heat to electricity at up to 3 times the efficiency of others, with no water or chemicals and no emissions. The Barton heat engine works with any heat source over 400 degrees and is suitable for a large variety of waste heat sources, including bioenergy, which is a carbon negative circular economy application. Our patent pending technology can be used for small scale industrial applications that aren't commercially feasible using existing heat engines, solar or wind. Next slide, please. Last year's investment round of $1 million has been fully subscribed and included a virtual crowdsource funding raise and our first venture fund investment. We've developed new and ongoing partnerships with ASX listed companies, Ultima Grid Solutions and Osteng. Our product will be commissioned in June, having completed detailed designs and FEAs and successfully tested key components. We've transitioned to a majority of independent directors. From 1st July, a public company structure, and we're looking to establish limited liquidity for shareholders by Q3 through low volume trading. Next slide, please. We've come a long way, but also have a long journey ahead. We're approaching a major re-rating milestone as the heat engine goes into the operational phase, our commercial heat engine, I should say, which will kickstart our sales pipeline. We have millions of dollars of sales interest from industry and strategic partners lined up, including ASX companies, which we expect to start converting in H2 shortly after commissioning. So on the 25th of May, we'll start our expression of interest for a virtual crowdsource funding raise, our next raise, to accelerate commercialisation. And we'd welcome early engagement from interested parties that need more than the usual 5-week virtual process for due diligence to ensure that you don't miss out. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. So I can see Charlie's got a question, so I'll bring Charlie in. If any other judges have a question, I'll bring a couple of people in at once. We've got Charlie and Pat coming on.
Hi, Mike.
After you, Charlie.
Charlie. Great pitch. Great to see Capricorn's progress as well. Just as you're getting to commercialization, these look like quite hefty pieces of equipment. How are you approaching financing the build of these Barton engines?
Yes, so the initial strategy is to self-fund them with the help of grants and R&D to get that all-important operational experience. This is a conservative industry, so we need many thousands of operating hours before an arm's length customer will buy it, or before we can project finance that. So that's step one. Obviously, we're interested in strategic partners as well that could help us with that.
And Mike, yeah, congratulations. Good to see you again. And great traction in the last year as well. So one question I had was, this is the sort of market where you're dealing with large organisations that are going to scrutinise pretty carefully things like data on evidence of performance, data on safety, etc. So what's your strategy in terms of getting that safety and product certification in place, and the data that actually makes it a really easy business case to execute?
That's right. So the plan would be to get an independent engineering company, tier one company, to certify, if you like, the data that we've generated, and that will have a couple of advantages. Firstly, we can use that to help convince a customer to buy. Secondly, also a lot of the larger companies, especially, obviously use those tier one engineering companies. So if you've sort of got one in your corner, that can help as well indirectly through the marketing.
Yeah. I had one about just clarification of IP. So you mentioned the Barton engine. Is that something that you've invented, or is that something you've secured rights to and you've built IP around that? Probably worth clarifying a little bit.
Sure. The core IP is an Australian invention, and so we have patent pending in 13 countries. There is a particular piece of IP that's strategic that we're about to sign a global exclusive license on as well. That provides good synergy for that.
Great. No more from me. Thank you.
Great. Roger, do you have a question for Mike?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good. Sorry, I can't see for some reason. Can't hear. Just probably a deeper question is just understanding the technology behind it, so, and how you came to get the technology that can obviously do something that other people can't.
Sure. So the inventor's story is that Dr. Barton had a longer career at the CSIRO. He finished up and his background was applied mathematics. He invented from first principles a high efficiency heat engine, as you do. It turned out through further development that of course this is an old idea, but with significant improvements based upon it. So it's technically known as a recuperated closed loop Brayton cycle, but it was actually Ericsson a couple of hundred years ago that first invented something similar. This is an improvement. The improvements are patentable.
Maybe one more, Mike, if there's time. Obviously, there's a lot of hardware involved in this. What's your approach to manufacturing as you scale that internationally? What's your approach going to be in terms of producing the units? Sure.
So the core concept would be a similar strategy to a company called Raygen, where there's some core hardware, the actuation system, the valves and the control system, which is quite readily manufacturable, quite sort of small, much smaller, shall we say, than the balance of plant. Balance of plant is typically, off the shelf, purchasable from other entities. So the concept would be to scale up. We can have that the balance of plant sort of manufactured closer to the market, shall we say? Some in Australia, some overseas, with us providing the core IP.
Thanks, Mike. Well, we might wrap up there and go to the next pitch. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions at the end if we keep to time. So thanks so much, Mike. I'll bring Dennis Savick in from Savick Motorcycles now. Welcome, Dennis.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Tough pitch to follow.
I'm sure you'll keep up.
Great. So do I just share my screen here? And
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me know when you can see it.
Not quite full screen yet, but sometimes there's a little bit of a delay. Okay, we're up.
All right, great.
3 minutes. I will give you a 30-second warning in the chat, but you've assured me you're going to be short and sharp anyway, but your 3 minutes starts now.
Great. Thanks very much. So thanks for having me. My name's Dennis Savage. I'm the founder of Savage Motorcycles, and we are Australia's electric motorcycle company. A little bit about the history. We've iterated our designs basically year on year, and what we've developed is a strong vehicle development capability and soon to be manufacturing capability within Australia. We've built our production prototype last year, which retails for $23,990, which is less than half of the other competitor that we have on the market in Australia at the moment, 0 to 103.5, charge time of 5 hours with a range of 200 Ks and a torque of 190 Newton meters. A very fun machine indeed. Our vision isn't just e-motorcycles, it's to be an e-mobility company, but we are starting with the niche of electric motorcycles so that we can build our brand and then eventually bring additional products into more commoditized markets. The global motorcycle market was $115 billion in 2018 and was expected to grow to $156 billion by 2026. Now, this market encompasses low-powered, high-powered scooters, etc. But in the premium motorcycle market where we compete, the internal combustion engine market is $7 billion and is growing. But the EV premium motorcycle market is expected to grow to 4.2 by the year 2030, giving it a compound annual growth rate of about 13.6%. Now, we've had some pretty good traction. We sold out our first production run of 50 units with $2,000 deposits. Our socials are growing really well, and we've also been asked to participate in a globally renowned art gallery exhibition. So that was very, very exciting for us. And over the next 5 years, we do want to become the #1 e-mobility company in APAC, producing 5,000 units a year at average sale price of $20,000. And we think that with our maths, we can get to a gross margin of about 45–50%, giving us a $100 million business with around 20% net margin. And we're going to do this alongside an apparel business, which we think we can grow to $15 million worth of revenue over the next 5 years as well. Now, we do have some IP. We've got our design registrations and the brand trademarks, but we've also developed our battery pack and the motor from the ground up, along with some proprietary software. Our core strategy in the business is a powertrain platform strategy, so we can develop 5 product lines off the same platform, minimizing investment, maximizing potential revenues. We have 30 people in the team, and there's a combination of engineers, coders, marketers. We have some great advisors that have copious amounts of experience in the auto sector. And we're currently raising 1.5 mil out of 7.5 pre-money in order to deliver the first run, reach 200 pre-orders, and position ourselves for global growth. Thank you very much.
Perfect timing. Wonderful. Great work, Dennis. So do we have any questions for Dennis from our judges? Patrick, I can see you on there, so I'll bring Patrick in.
I'll just make sure I'm unmuted. Yep. Well, this is a fascinating market, Dennis. It's also a very popular one in APAC, as you'd know. You're looking at APAC, and the potential for it there is huge. So many people using 2-wheel and 3-wheel EVs. It's also the target of a lot of big players. The Tatas, the Mahindras, some of the big Chinese manufacturers. So, how do you see yourself differentiating in that? Given the number of players focusing on this particular application?
Well, there's not. So the Tatas and the Mahindras, they're not really focusing on the premium end of the market. Our predominant competitors are more the likes of Ducati, Harley, for example. And where we compete against those guys is that we've developed a very low-cost supply chain and a direct-to-customer sales model. so that we can maximize the margins that we retain, allowing us to have a retail price that's competitive against existing combustion engine motorcycles.
If I can extend on that, you say you'll have a low-cost supply chain, but as you scale internationally, how will you achieve that against these established players? I mean, they distribute in Asia as well. So how do you see yourself getting that sort of cost advantage?
So we've already got people on the ground in India. That's how we've managed to develop that low-cost supply chain. And we'll probably grow that capability not only in supply chain, but also in quality assurance and control. Distribution, our global distribution strategy is going to be a hybrid. In some markets, we'll be direct to customer. In other markets, we'll require strategic distributors to partner with.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hope that answers the question.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So my question was on a similar vein, Dennis, which was, I guess, prompted by your slide was showing everything from scooters all the way up, right?
Yep.
Do you realistically think you can play in any of those markets, or are you focused on the premium?
Well, we're starting with focusing on the premium, and that's a little bit strategic. So our hypothesis is that because scooters and e-bikes are very heavily commoditized, there's a lot of players in that market. It's a very big market. One of the key differentiators for a product operating that space is brand. And one of the strongest ways we can build our brand is by overcoming something very challenging, which we are trying to do every day, and that's the e-motorcycle space. So once we've established that, we've got the brand, we've got a high-performance product, moving into those other spaces is pretty straightforward.
I do have a follow-on one, if that's okay. So if you're differentiating on brand, is that around the look of it, or perhaps the safety aspects of it? What's the edge in the brand, if you like, that you're looking to build?
Sorry, do you mean with the commoditized, like the scooters?
Well, you're talking about positioning on a brand basis, and that's often a look and feel positioning, but it can also have other dimensions like safety, or really easy to repair, or support. So just interested in sort of understanding that a little bit more.
Yeah, so we're positioning the motorcycles to be performance motorcycles and designer and affordable, not ludicrously expensive. Of course, we make sure that we've got enough margin to keep the business operational and healthy, but not, the Harley Livewire price point's 50 grand. We don't want to compete in that space. And we believe that those qualities, if you will translate into the more commoditized markets like the scooters and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So that's all we have time for Dennis. We'll jump into our final pitch. Thanks so much, Dennis. So we've got Clinton Hopkins coming on from Fully Wall. Thanks, Patrick. I'll see you on the other side of this one. So Clinton, have we got you there?
Yes. Hi, Hannah.
Great. Okay, so when you're ready to share your screen, I will let you know when your 3 minutes start.
There we go.
All good. Okay, so your 3 minutes starts now.
Energy. We will disrupt this multi-trillion-dollar industry. There is a fortune to be made and the world's climate to save. But what will be the enabling technology, you ask? It's becoming obvious that renewable electricity stored smartly will power a big part of our future. We are making interchangeable, smart batteries that power everything fully. These batteries combine to create a solar home storage system that you can walk up to and go click, removing one of 20 e-bike size battery packs that will click into and power a variety of compatible lifestyle products like boats, bikes, caravans, generators, outdoor power equipment. The possibilities are endless, creating an ecosystem of clean energy powered products. Large battery devices up to this point have been expensive. Big batteries normally only fit one device, are heavy and slow to charge, and generally sit around idle doing nothing most of their life. Customer pain points with big battery products has been their cost, not having a charged or spare battery when needed, coupled with long charge times and low life. It's all changing. The Fully ecosystem removes the need for battery chargers, providing households of the future a smart home integrated solar charging hub with an ample supply of fully charged, high-powered batteries for your lifestyle. Every battery becomes a networked intelligent storage vessel that can power your home with as little as 6 in the rack. One powers an e-bike, and you can connect many of them together to power things like caravans or boats. Our technology enables an overall better user experience. Since fully powered devices are not sold with batteries or battery chargers, their cost to purchase and environmental impact is lower. FullyWall uses AI to schedule charging to maximize renewable energy capture, efficiency, and user friendliness. Bloomberg estimates a 122-fold explosion of stationary energy storage over the next 2 decades, providing a new market of almost $1 trillion. FullyWall is the first of its type in the world and may take advantage of government solar home battery rebate programs to significantly subsidize the initial cost to our customers. The future is here. We're designing a smart solution that is efficient, stylish, and enhances people's lifestyles, driving the world's transition to clean energy. This is just the beginning. Fully will be the new standard for our interconnected clean energy world. Come, change the world for the better with us and share in the rewards. Thanks. I'll hand you back to Anna.
Thanks so much, Clinton.
That's all right.
So, Patrick, I see you've got a question. I'll bring you on. Any other judges that want to jump on and ask Clinton any questions, feel free. We'll bring some in from the chat as well.
Thanks, Clinton. You've really identified, an emerging challenge, if you like. We're going to have so many electric devices of different sizes around the home. How you manage that effectively, and I think the swap in, swap out idea is very appealing. I just wouldn't mind if you could explain. I mean, obviously, something like a marine application for your powerboat in terms of energy demand is going to be very different to riding your e-bike. So how will you handle that? Are you talking about lots of little modules that you sort of, you stack them or something in the boat? How does that actually work for you to scale up very different needs?
To use the segment we're looking at is the sub 10 kilowatt lifestyle type products. So it's your smaller, 10, 15, 20 horsepower boats that have a outboard setup. And we generally have a module that looks very much like the outboard fuel cell. And it takes 4 of these batteries and it closes up and is watertight. And the batteries themselves have a smart computer on board that connects to Wi-Fi devices and its hub, and it talks to the cloud-based AI algorithm to track what it's been used for, how it's been used, and it also monitors all its internal parameters, including temperature, amount of current that's being pulled, anticipated amount of current, so that it can look after itself and extend its life. So when it plugs back into the wall, then it feeds that information back into the cloud and helps then know how to charge that battery and how it's going to be used in the future.
So to just tease that out, you've actually got a little bit of a computing requirement in the device, in each each of your household appliances, if you like. You need that. Yeah, okay.
That's right. That's actually the secret sauce. You stick the battery in a non-compatible device, it just doesn't turn on. Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. I'll let some of the other judges jump in. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Patrick. My question was more about standardisation, what form factor, connections, and all of that infrastructure that's necessary for the same battery to be used in multiple devices.
Yeah, we're basically becoming, if we're successful in doing this at large scale, will become the standard for these connections and modular shape. The idea is that we become a licensed ecosystem where we're not having to develop all these products ourselves, but we partner with companies that already have a lot of expertise in manufacturing and designing products like bikes and so forth, and that we are licensed to allow these batteries to go into their device.
Okay, thanks.
I've got a question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just how are you going to get to the market? This is a huge network effect. Is there what's the first market you're targeting, and how far you got with that?
Yep. Okay. We've been selling some of the products, like the power stations that you saw on the first pitch, and also bikes, which were custom designed for our standard that will eventually fit the exact battery that we have here. We've sold many of them already just to get customer feedback. But what we're going to do is we're going to target the solar home wall installation and give a free bike, a folding e-bike, with there to get the first sticky point for the customer. They'll buy one. After that, most likely for the rest of their family, and then they'll end up buying other products because it will make it more efficient for them to do so. Not having to buy the battery or the charger every time makes the product a lot cheaper. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Charlie?
Yep. No, that's good.
Yep.
Roger. Yep.
Is there any other questions? Yeah.